It's just a bigger knife, which I'm kind of known for bigger knives. This one's a little different. See this here? It's in between, and that's sliding in between. Edit that out. All right. My name is Reese Weiland. I've been a custom knife maker for 45 years, and I make knives. So I like ideas, I like inventions, I like thinking of stuff, I like brainstorming stuff. I do it for people all the time, and I've known Walter forever. And so what we have here is Walter came to me, I don't know, 2 years ago, and he told me about this idea that he had for a sliding scale release automatic. And what he wanted was, the need was he wanted something that he could take, put in his hand, and slide the back scale with his fingers. He didn't like having to push with his thumb because his thumb is weak. And so he's like, you know what, I've got more strength in 4 fingers than 1, so I want to have 1 finger. So they came up with this idea, they did this, they patented all the mechanism and everything to make it work, and this is the original design, and all this. Well, he came to me with the patent. He says, you know, the original one isn't quite going to get us where we want to go. It's not really manufacturable. It's not really, you know, it. I have experience manufacturing the original Navy SEAL knife, the original Florida black knife. That was me, and so I know what that's involved in that. So I can look at something and design in such a way that it's, you know, you could put it together, you can have somebody sit down and they can assemble it, they'll assemble, they'll go, they'll work, they'll do their thing. Because, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but up until very recently, the last, well, up until that knife was invented, the black knife, that's the first knife that could be genuinely mass produced and assembled without having hand work done to it. Every lockback is hand ground for the lock to engage. Every Italian stiletto, they're hand fitted for the pick lock. Every one. They don't come off the machine and we put screws or we put rivets and it's together. It doesn't work that way. So that was the very first one that you could actually assemble, put it together and adjust it, and it locked right. So, yay. Anyway, so the first thing that I did when I saw the patent and the way it was set up is I told Walt, I said, I don't think this is going to work. It's too complicated, and the required accuracy is so high that it's not going to do. And it's going to end up wearing and doing exactly what this one does now. This has wiggle in the lock. Because the way it's set up, there's nowhere for it to wear in. You have to have a lock has to adjust. Even a quality lockback adjusts a little bit. It gradually will move down just that little bit. That's going to make it still lock up solid. And that's what you want. Nobody wants to buy a knife that wiggles. They think it's going to close on them. So we came up with, I took it and I redid it and I made it into a button lock. And when I made it into a button lock, which is the same thing as the black knife, the only thing I actually changed was I made it so the release was a ramp. So you slide this ramp back over the button lock and it pushes the button lock down. And when you slide forward, the button lock doesn't actually hit anything. It only hits the lock. So because of that, it has 60 thousandths of engagement that it can change. So you have a natural adjustment ability in there. You can get it to the point where it's going to be totally a shot, but it's going to take a while. You're going to literally wear it out. It's be like a gun wearing out the hammer. The hammer doesn't stay back. It just fires. So, and it came out really neat. I made the first one out of stainless because I wanted to make everything as accurate as I could at a surface grinder. And the way this works is this handle scale, you slide it back. And by sliding it back, you push the button down. Can you get enough light to see that? See the button come back up? All right. And that's how it locks and unlocks. So in the open position, it's locked automatically because the button pops up and locks it. You slide it back, you close the knife. And the scale, see, that's fired. But see here, now look at that. The scale is closed, right? I can close this and it'll lock because the button is independent. You see the button is down, it's flush here. Okay, but this scale is all the way up. When I close this, and that's how it works. Now, the problem with this knife is because it's got the back scale is moving, you can't put a clip on it without a safety. It's dangerous. If you were to have a clip on this knife, you know, the scale's going to move. You stick it in your pocket, the whole scale's going to move. The next thing you know, you got an open knife in your pocket, and you're going to get cut. So that won't work. Okay, so you need a safety, and you could mount the clip in here in a slot, but you have to prevent the scale from moving. So their production knife that Prinston made, he has a little safety in the back. All right, that's a flipper. All right, and it locks the scale. So, but in order to work the knife, you got to take the knife out. You got to push the safety here with your other hand. Then you got to come up here, change position, and then work the knife. I didn't really care for that. It's a stop bep. It works, but I didn't really like it. All right, so I'm working on something else. This is the latest prototype. I wasn't able to get finished. This is just a machine part. The ears come off. I was going to show the blade. This is one of my flippers. This is not, that's the blade. So basically it's this handle, this won't be there, and it'll be that handle, but with that blade shape. And so, but what I did for the safety, was I put the safety right here. And the safety is now, when you hold this knife in your hand, your thumb naturally falls on it. And you're going to move this safety to the side, and then you're going to slide the scale. And that's going to allow the knife to file. When the handle comes back, the safety will automatically re-engage. So you can't slide the scale when the knife is open. You have to move the safety and then slide it to close the knife. And I wanted that because I never liked the idea of people accidentally, you know, I'm using my knife and I'm stabbing something and I move this and I opened it, now it's closing on my fingers. I never liked that. So now you've got to unlock the safety and you've got to slide it forward. And so there we are. And this is a smaller version with a little different grind. This is the same as this. And like this. There will be no screw on this side of the knife. The screw will be on the back side. All right, so there's no screws visible except for these two screws that hold this scale down on top of the mechanism. This knife will be a lot easier to assemble. I put the return spring is now in a carriage, and the carriage is what slides. So this mounts on top of the return spring carriage and screws down to it, and then you slide that. So the whole scale's going to slide, but be assembling wise, when you take this knife apart, there's a pin and a spring, it flies forward. You got to sit there and put it over this and wiggle it around and slide it back and pop it down and turn it on its side, and then you can put two little pins in there. No, you would pre-assemble the spring and the slides and everything, and that's the top liner. You put in a right-handed spring, you put the liner on it, you're done.
Reese, thank you so much, man. That was very, very interesting.